Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. Cape Verde reached the knockouts in their first ever World Cup. Second in the group, glorious scenes at the end. Voisinha's mum dancing in the stands. Another clean sheet. They almost won it at the end, but it didn't matter. They'll play Argentina now. Messi isn't getting any change out of Pico Lopez. Saudi Arabia needed to go for it, but they were absolute garbage. Spain topped the group, beating a disappointing Uruguay. The players told Bielsa they were going to do it their way, and that way was about as effective as Bielsa's way. Poor Muslera spooning a soft Baena strike, getting hooked, and that was that. Before Canobio Uruguayed it up right at the end. 3 wins from 3 for France, the current favourites for the whole thing. The big Mbappe-Haaland showdown, undermined slightly by Haaland being on the bench. Along with Norway's entire first team, it kind of made sense, but made for quite a tepid affair. Ousmane Dembélé scored his way into the Golden Boot reckoning, while Jorgen Strand Larsen confirmed that he is very much the third best big man in Norway. Still, there's lots of big men in Norway. Senegal are probably through after a 5-0 win over 10-man Iraq. A couple of great goals in this one. We'll look ahead to tomorrow. Release the handbrake, Thomas. Reece James is out for England's game with Panama. There's an extreme listener tactic for avoiding vegetables. Your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today with me in LA, Barry Glendenning, welcome.
Hello, Max.
From the Racing Post, Mark Langdon, hello.
Hi, Max.
And on the night shift, Philippe Auclair, bonjour, ça va?
Ça va, mon gars. Bonjour, bonsoir. I don't know. Bonsoir.
Bonjour, bonsoir, bonne nuit. We are recording before Egypt, Iran, New Zealand, Belgium and Group G, so we'll cover those on Saturday's pod. Let's begin with Group H. Perhaps not the greatest games of football today, but it's a day where the podcast is better than the football. But we will begin with Cape Verde getting through, Barry. The group finishes Spain on 7 points, Cape Verde on 3 points, 3 draws. Uruguay and Saudi Arabia both out. Cape Verde drew with Saudi Arabia 0-0. And the scenes at the end were brilliant.
Yeah, and it's completely unsurprising because this is probably, well, it is the greatest day in Cape Verde football history. It's probably the greatest day in Cape Verde history. And I think they thoroughly deserve their place in the next round. And for them to get to play against Argentina in a World Cup knockout match is just a phenomenal achievement, and on the back of what they've done so far, who's to say they can't put Argentina out? I remain gobsmacked by how good Cape Verde are. Now, they were up against very little in Saudi Arabia today, who were hopeless. Saudi Arabia had to win this game, and at no point did they really seem to make much of an effort to try to win it, and it looked like they might have had Anthony Elanga-itis in that they didn't quite know they had to win it, because they were. It was a dismal effort on their part. Cape Verde looked like the team that needed to win, even though they didn't necessarily, and they had the better chances. They dominated in pretty much every regard, especially in the second half after an extremely cagey first half. And I wasn't surprised by how good they were, because I know we all know how good they can be now, but I was genuinely stunned by how bad Saudi Arabia were.
Yeah. Before we get onto that, I mean, they were awful, Mark. But the moment where their game is finished and all the Cape Verde players are around their mobile phones, just finding out, just such a great moment.
It was, yeah. I don't know which sort of live score app it was, but it was great advertising for.
Surely the Guardian app is the one they would have been on.
I'm sure huge in Cape Verde. Yeah, it would have been the one that they were. It's a great achievement. We've already spoken a lot about the extension to 48 teams and the problems that causes. Is it worth the trade-off to have this one moment? Maybe it is. It certainly was a beautiful moment. That the World Cup always throws up these kind of. It's not about every game being brilliant, because that just can't happen particularly when there's 104 of them or whatever there is this time around. But every single World Cup, you will remember something about that World Cup, and I think Cape Verde will be that story for a lot of people.
Yeah, and they're good, Philippe, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And actually, I must say that I don't buy into the expansion and the fact that this is the price we're paying in terms of games we're getting back and having Cape Verde. If you look at the way they qualified for the World Cup, they were in a pretty tough group in Africa. And they finished top of that group with 4 points ahead of Cameroon. And before that, they'd reached the quarterfinals of the AFCON. So I think even they would have stood a good chance, because they're actually a decent team which can actually play football. And obviously now they have the new hero of the World Cup. I mean, it was extraordinary. I don't think that Vozinha in his wildest dreams would have thought that there would be people all around the stadium with posters saying, "I want your shirt, I want your shirt." And absolutely extraordinary, absolutely, and totally merited. Even if I still feel a bit sick in the stomach for Uruguay, who honestly will think back of that game against Cape Verde and still wonder what the hell happened. How did we not win that? But they did not. And there we go.
And actually, Vozinha's mum celebrating the stand was great, Barry. But we haven't really mentioned Pico Lopez since the tournament began. He's such a, because you talked about him a lot before, I think, or maybe we have. Who knows?
I think we have.
Who knows? But like the way he marshals that defence, he gives me the air of like an under-18s team that's got one 50-year-old centre back going, I'm in control of all this. He's really calm, sensible defender.
Yeah. Look, the story of how he came to play for Cape Verde has been well documented by now over and over again. It keeps coming up, and no surprise because it's a good story. But he spent his entire career playing in the League of Ireland. He worked in part-time in a bank and played for, I think it was Shells, I'm not sure. And then Shamrock Rovers offered him a full-time contract, so he quit his job in the bank and went to play for them full-time. Now, a full-time contract with Shamrock Rovers is not good money. You probably earn better money playing in League Two or even non-league football in England.
England, you just switched off and on for England.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So that was a big gamble he took because he almost certainly would have been on better money working in a mid-level job in a bank. And so he's one of the stars of this World Cup already. Unfortunately for him, he's of an age where he's probably too old to get a professional contract in England if a championship club wanted to take a punt on him. On the evidence, I don't watch Shamrock Rovers anymore. I used to go to their games when I lived in Dublin, but I've kind of lost interest since I moved abroad. And I don't know how good he is on a weekly basis with them, but on the evidence of what we've seen in 3 games of this World Cup, you'd think he could more than hold his own in the championship, but maybe he wouldn't. It's always a gamble to sign someone on the back of a good World Cup. I spoke to him after Cape Verde had qualified, and he's a real nice fella, incredibly down to earth. He's become a bit of a celebrity in Ireland, obviously, on the back of this, and God knows what's happening at home in Ireland now. I'd imagine everyone in Ireland is rooting for Cape Verde because of Pico. And good luck to him. Let's see how he gets on against Leo Messi.
Exactly, yeah.
No pressure.
But also, West Ham are in the Championship, so if anyone's going to just spend loads of money on random players from the World Cup...
Well, it'd be great, but I think he's 34, yeah, so...
Maybe. But anyway, he can enjoy this moment. We were on the walk here, we were just talking about how terrible Saudi Arabia were and how they just don't have it in their locker to attack.
No, I don't think so. Their football is very reactive, and there just was never that intent to try to win the game. Apart from a long throw, it was very rare to see balls come into the box, and you do wonder, for say Saudi Arabia, they were humiliated by Spain in the last game and were, lucky to still really be in the competition, because I thought they should have been easily beaten by Uruguay as well on the sort of the first round of matches. And I just wonder if that sort of Spain game just left some scars on them that made it difficult for them to try to open up. But it was a stinking performance, and they're not going to be missed in the rest of this tournament.
They're not. Uruguay aren't going to be missed either, really, Philippe. I mean, they lost 1-0 to Spain, but they are agonising. They just should be better than this. They managed, Philippe, to elicit the annoyance that you only get when you're watching your own team play this badly. I just found them so frustrating.
I found them frustrating, but I also found Spain really frustrating tonight. Maybe that was just me. And I think Uruguay were more or less what we expected them to be in that particular game. against Spain. They were actually better, I thought, against Spain than most people were expecting. I think people were thinking that they would be, basically given the way they played in their first two games against Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, that they would be rolled over. That was not the case. They were frustrating. And the one thing that was the most frustrating for me was that they were that close from Spain, but this tiny space that I'm showing there, it is infinite at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely
So
right.
you knew that, because you knew that there were some really lovely movements from time to time, which reminded you of, Bielsa's Chile, for example, sort of really fast interpassing. Araujo was good on his wing. There were a few players who actually came out. I thought De La Cruz was actually quite good when he came on. But there was always something missing at the end. It was either the control was not great, the cross was too long, the shot was, if there was a shot, was well wide of the goal. But mostly it was a lack of control. And that showed, and that went as well with frustration, which grew and grew and grew, and in very Uruguayan fashion, finished. It could, I think, if the game had been 5 minutes longer, it would have finished as I don't know, like trenches would have been dug in the pitch. It was brutal. Some of it was absolutely brutal. Canubio, I mean, I had marked his card. Max, honestly, I thought when I was following him through the game and seeing the fount of anger growing and growing, and his face getting redder and redder, and basically waiting for the moment where he could explode, and he did, and that was not pretty. That was the other side of Uruguay that we don't quite like. But on the other hand, I mean, they're out, and you might think good riddance. But on the other hand, I was really underwhelmed by Spain tonight, at least until Ruiz and Daniel Olmo came on the pitch. I didn't see in that Spain, against a very rugged Uruguay, I didn't see a future winner or a great favorite for the tournament. I thought Lamine Yamal, despite what the English commentators, every time he touched the ball, they were going, I mean, oh, ooh, ah. In fact, I thought he was rather poor tonight. Decision-making wasn't good. And I'm quite interested to see how you felt about it, because I was really underwhelmed by that performance from Spain, more than I was shocked by the quality or lack of quality of the Uruguayan performance. It's rather the Spaniards, I think, were a bit of a letdown for me.
Mark?
Yeah, I think they just did enough, and so they always felt in control, and they didn't seem to feel like they were sort of putting the effort in. You wonder if they would have needed to have scored a second goal or a third goal for like goal difference reasons, whether you would have seen them kind of up it. But they were playing very much within themselves. I suppose what the question then is, well, have they got the gears to go through if they need to, or is this kind of just what they are? Certainly in the Euros by now, they were looking more devastating. Lamine Yamal was fully fit, had Williams on the other side, and there was like this new Spain that I don't think people were necessarily expecting to see at the Euros. And this almost feels more like a kind of old Spain, where there's a lot of possession, it's quite slow, and so they just need to find that sort of dynamic sort of play in the forward areas, which is not there yet. Maybe that's to be expected with Yamal not at full pace yet, and Williams still feeling his way back from injury. But just going back to Uruguay, I mean, Muslera has made mistakes in every single match that has cost him. He's 40. He's had some great years with
This is
Uruguay.
not one of those great years.
This is not one of those great years. But like, there were clearly problems in the camp. You alluded to it at the start, where
you said Valverde had told Bielsa, "We're not going to play how you want to play."
That was the reports were that he went into Bielsa before the Spain game and said, we can't press against Spain because they'll kill us. We're going to play a different way. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but Valverde was taken off in the second half, having not played particularly well. But he is the star player, and if you need a goal, you would have felt like you keep Valverde on. It took 85 minutes for them to have a proper shot on target. Big disappointment. I agree that Spain need to improve. It's just a case of I do feel like they've got another gear to go through, but they don't look as good as France, for instance, at the moment.
We'll get to France in a sec. Just one more on Muslera. It was quite interesting that on the US comms, Rob Green was commentating, and at no point referenced knowing what it's like to throw one in for your team and then like lose your place at a World Cup. And I really like him as a pundit, actually. I just thought that was a real opportunity for him to explain his lived experience that not many of us have lived.
Yeah, definitely was. I can only guess, and it's a total guess.
He's forgotten.
I doubt it. I guess he just didn't want to remind everyone, because I'd forgotten until you mentioned it.
Right.
But I suspect he hasn't forgotten.
No, probably.
And maybe it's a part of his life he would rather.
Fair enough. Rob, I'm sorry for bringing it up. Anyway, that'll do for part one. Part two, we'll discuss. We'll begin with France's win over Norway. Hi, Pod fans. Max here. Barry's here too.
Hello.
Now, Football Weekly is supported by Gradient FC. Now, Barry, we've talked a lot on the pod about football analytics, XG and all that. And those pod fans who are deep into football analytics will probably already know Gradient Sports. They work with pro clubs across Europe's top leagues to provide player performance insights. But now they're bringing that same pro-level analysis directly to fans through the Gradient FC app.
Sounds interesting. What does it do?
Well, each match is graded by a team of experts who evaluate over 2,000 player actions per match, not just by outcome, but by execution. So, for example, a completed pass that leads the receiver into danger is graded negatively, while one that puts the receiver in on goal is graded positively.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and with Gradient FC, you get some of the deepest metrics available to ordinary fans, like line-breaking passes, dribbles into dangerous positions, and chance creations. Now, I know you hate making match predictions, Barry, but maybe all that could change with Gradient FC, with head-to-head player comparison tools that show you who's best across more than 100 grades and metrics. It's easy to build and defend any prediction. And here's something else that will appeal to you, Barry. It's free.
Well, I am surprised to hear that, Max.
Well, explore it for yourself at gradientfc.com or download the Gradient FC app from the Apple App Store or Google Play, or use the QR code on screen now. Welcome to part two of the Guardian Football Weekly. So France, 3 wins from 3. They qualify in first place. Norway were in second at the start of the day. We saw the team sheet. We thought they'll probably be second at the end of the day. And Senegal, with a resounding 5-0 win over Iraq, means they're in they'll qualify. I don't know what the percentage chance are, bracket man.
It's very high.
Right.
We're speaking obviously before the Belgium game, but it was very high going into that set of fixtures.
Okay. What did you make of the France-Norway game then, Philippe?
Again, I thought it was a festival game more than anything else, and I really enjoyed it, as I'm sure we all did. I enjoyed the quality of the football. I enjoyed the goals, which were quite spectacular and magnificent, including the Norwegian goal, which was absolutely gorgeous.
Great balance.
That drop of the shoulder, I don't feel like it. But on the other hand, I didn't find myself being really taken by it as I was, let's say, when Germany played Ecuador, where I was jumping around the place. And because there was not this emotional depth to it, because we knew it was going to happen, because Solbakken had taken this decision, which, by the way, is getting him an awful lot of stick in Norway, to field a second 11. And I don't know if you noticed it, but at one point, actually, the Norwegian supporters who were in the ground were singing, "We want Holland, we want Holland, we want Holland." And there has been a lot of criticism already in Norway about the type of team that he picked, which, by the way, was not ridiculous. They had their moments. There were even in the second half a phase of the game where you thought, actually, they're playing rather well and they're creating problems. They did have opportunities, but from the French side, it was more okay. What would be really great? Well, it would be really great if Ousmane Dembélé, having broken his duck, showed the real Dembélé, and guess what? He did. And I think in terms of hat tricks, that was a pretty decent ones. I mean, the finishes were absolutely extraordinary. And the other very satisfying thing was the fact that the creator of both his first two goals, it's late, was Kylian Mbappe, and they were the first assist by Mbappe is pure genius honestly, it's pure genius. Totally off balance. And the way they mirror each other as well is off balance as well for the second assist. It goes the same way, and the finish is in the same corner of the goal. It's not a carbon copy, but it was quite close. So there are loads of things which went very well for a game which psychologically must have been quite difficult for this French team. Maybe we'll talk about that, because their manager was not there because of the death of his mother. He had to leave the camp and will only come back later today to the United States, to their base camp. So it was a bit of a strange game in that, but I find myself quite difficult to be enthused as I would be if it had felt like a genuinely competitive game. There were some beautiful things shown by the French team. There were some beautiful goals, but again, what's new? We know they can play like that, but we still don't know. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but we still don't know after this third game how high exactly they can go. Because there were some defensive frailties which were exposed even by the Norwegians tonight. And I know I'm being really picky here, because you will always obviously think of the quality of the goals, the fact it finished 4-1. They've had a very impressive group phase, which was not easy on paper, by the way. So we're all happy, but I wouldn't necessarily see in that the kind of signature performance of a team that is bound for the title.
What do you make of that criticism then for Norway fielding a reserve side? Because they play again on Tuesday, and they must have looked at it and thought it's either the Ivory Coast they've got, or probably Sweden. Is it?
It is the Ivory Coast.
Yeah, so it seems to make sense to me what they did.
I didn't have any problem with it whatsoever. I mean, I know Erling Haaland did an interview with Katie Shanahan, who's working for Fox, friend of the show, and he said that Norway, this was before this game obviously, and he said, France will probably beat us, they'll probably win the tournament, so it doesn't really matter what we do in this game. And I think Solbakken has earned the right to do whatever he wants with Norway, how easily they qualified and what they did to Italy. So I am surprised to learn that he's getting stick, because
A lot of it.
yeah, I just think the Norwegian fans should trust him, that he knows what he's doing. Then again, there is, I suppose, an argument to be made that fielding this second string side, it holds momentum, means they're going into their next game against Ivory Coast on the back of a defeat. But I don't think it matters, because, you know, and make no mistake, they were hammered today. They lost 4-1. Their reserve keeper, Egil Selvik, was the man of the match for them.
Wasn't
He was really good, so it could have been a lot worse. Their defence was a shambles. They let Ousmane Dembélé basically score the same goal 3 times to get a first half hat trick. But yeah, I have no problem with what Solbakken did, but other opinions are clearly available.
Just on Norway, they did have that penalty, Mark. And I don't know what happened to me today. I was so irrationally furious with Strand Larsen's attempt to score that penalty. Maybe I just thought this will make a game of it.
It would have made a game of it, because Norway came out quite fast after half time. It was a lazy penalty. It was poor. They always look bad though when you kind of stroll up to them and miss them in that manner. I would say that Mike Maignan is as good as anybody at saving penalties, and he is a very difficult person to beat, even if you hit the penalty properly. And clearly, Strand Larsen didn't do that.
That penalty was identical to the one he missed for Wolves against Brentford back in, I think it was January.
Oh, yeah.
At Molyneux, when he was agitating for a move to Palace. Just a lazy, careless penalty, and it really turned Wolves fans against him. Like, I think they were already against him, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And when I remembered that penalty when he went to take this one, and I was thinking, he's going to do it again, and it was exactly the same.
Philippe?
Yeah, on the question of why are the Norwegians unhappy, you have first of all to think like a Norwegian.
Okay.
And
Everybody
what
focus.
I think here
I'm
is
getting
that
herring.
Okay.
think
yeah.
like a dance like an Egyptian,
Yeah.
think like a Norwegian. And the one thing is that you have thousands of people who've flown from Norway and paid an awful lot of money specifically for that game.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Norway, it's been seen as very disrespectful towards the fans who will have spent an awful lot of money to actually put on the pitch a team which is not the team they wanted to see. And that's their opinion. I'm not talking about what I feel myself. I'm giving you the feeling that's been shared by my Norwegian friends, saying, yeah, that's not great. Because Holland stayed on the bench, so did Odegaard, and that's not exactly what they had come from. So that's the main reason. Why they are not happy. That's not because of the sporting side.
Sure, I can see that being annoying. When you get the team, you've spent 50 grand, and then you look at the team, you go, "Who's that? I don't know who that is." At least Oscar Bob with. They'll be like, "Oh well, Oscar Bob's good. I know who he is." You wanted to talk about Didier Deschamps.
He was great, actually.
He was good. Yeah. You wanted to talk about the French team wanted to wear black armbands to honour Didier Deschamps' mother, and they weren't allowed to by FIFA.
Yeah. No, it's quite extraordinary. Didier Deschamps lost his dad 4 years ago, and he's now basically, doesn't matter how old you are, he's now an orphan. And he's probably much closer to his players than most people think, or some of his players at least. And they wanted to wear a black armband as a salute to him because he was burying his mum at the time they were playing, right? And Ibrahima Konate was particularly moved by it, and really hugged Didier Deschamps as it was going, and so it was a really very emotional moment, and FIFA decided to prevent them from doing that. And I to be honest, I have no idea, because FIFA are the kings of performative sympathy. And in this particular instance, wouldn't have changed anything. And the players just wanted to show their solidarity with their manager. They've been hurt. The manager's been hurt in his heart and his flesh, and they wanted to be with him. And FIFA decided, no, you can't do that.
Did they give a reason, Philippe?
It's a pretty poor show. No, they must have given a reason to the French FA, but I can't tell you what this reason is because it hasn't been made public.
Yeah, so at the moment, the French Football Federation have said this. FIFA haven't said anything, so we don't know what FIFA will say. When they say something, we will let you know. In the other game, Senegal beat Iraq 5-0. They just had to score as many goals as possible. They did. Iraq had a man sent off pretty early. But Mark, can we just talk about Pape Gay's second goal? The levels of havoc in that finish were just great.
You normally say ball stayed hit, don't you?
Oh, ball stayed ball.
Ball stayed ball, and it definitely did stay ball, and it wasn't the only.
Well, actually, it did move quite a lot.
It?
I think it wasn't one of those ball stayed ball, but it definitely stayed hit.
It did. Yeah, it did stay hit, and it wasn't the only thumping finish. Actually, there was maybe a bit of anger coming out in Senegal that have lost 2 games where. They'll feel like they contributed to the defeat on both of those occasions, and this was much more like it. I know the early red card that helped them, but it was
nice to hear after review.
I've written that down.
You nicked Barry's gag.
Sorry about that.
I've written it down. Anthony Taylor, our first of the tournament. I'd say all the refs are upset having their thunder stolen by that fella who sent off Miggy Almiron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to Senegal. Mendy's injured now in goal. Koulibaly wasn't playing. I presume he was. I mean, he was awful in that game in the last time. So assume he's been dropped. So it was like a new Senegal side really. Ismaila Sarr up front, and Baye came in for a start. And like assuming that they qualify, and as we speak, they're kind of really close, and it'd take a lot for it to go wrong for them not to be in it. And they could be. England's opponents, which I think is not the sort of last 32 team you'd want to play, because they are dangerous.
They beat them in a friendly, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And I think that against France and Norway, they showed enough in bits of those games and just made some silly errors. So, Iraq were there for the taking, obviously, after the early red card. But I think they're a good side, Senegal.
Yeah, and Dye's finish was great as well, wasn't it? The fifth goal. All right. Well, tomorrow's pod will do the Group G that's playing tonight, and we'll do tomorrow's games, of course. A few tickets left for the live shows. They're selling well, so thank you. Vicar Street in Dublin on the 1st. Not selling so well that you shouldn't buy a ticket, just to be clear. But 1st of September, Vicar Street in Dublin. 9th of September, Soho Theatre, Walthamstow. Go to theguardian.co.uk/footballweeklylive or just guardian.co.uk/footballweeklylive. But hopefully both of them will get that. You just come along.
You can find it.
You can find it.
If you're not able to find it, we don't want you there because you're clearly a thicker.
And that'll do for part 2. Part 3, we'll look ahead to tomorrow's games. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So then Group L tomorrow, Croatia, Ghana, Panama, England. Reece James ruled out of the next 2 games. You're in England, Philippe. What's the presumably not panicking in your house, but have you sensed a level of panic after that Ghana game, just walking the streets?
No.
Okay.
I did not. No, I did not. I think no, nobody's panicking. It's actually a bit strange, honestly, guys, here, because I really do not feel the kind of World Cup passion that I felt in the past, or the Euro passion, or the Euro passion for the Three Lions or for the Lionesses. And I'm still waiting to see the flags coming out, and they're not. So people are not that bothered, to be honest. And I think that sounds silly, but you're lucky because you're there in America. It's nice and cool and fresh. England has basically been baking in an oven for a week, and people are going a bit mad.
Yeah,
to be absolutely honest.
Philip, I zoomed my parents, and they had a fan on them, and my mum's hair was blowing like a sort of 80s music video. It was like, this is how hot it is. So you're saying it's too hot for anyone to care about anything. I know that feeling. When it gets above 35, you can't think about anything, can you? Anyway,
no, and I'm proving it to you right now.
Tuchel's got a bit of criticism, Mark, for not picking enough right backs. Livramento went home injured. He brought in Chalobah. Reece James got this injury, so will probably be Jed Spence moving over to the right tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could have predicted this would happen with Reece James. He's somebody that has had a lot of injuries in the past. The idea of him being able to play 7 games in like a month or something like that, I could never see it happening. So he needed another right back. I think he trusts Jed Spence. He rates him highly. I think he's spoken about what Jed Spence can bring to the team and his defensive qualities. Like clearly something has gone on with Trent Alexander-Arnold that means he wasn't picking him, and I find it quite tiresome to keep going over the players that are not.
You brought
there.
him up,
but no, I mean, I would have picked him. But yeah, but you can't. You have to trust the manager that if he doesn't feel like somebody is the right fit for a group of players, particularly if they're going to be a sub to start with, then you have to go with that judgment. It's one of the biggest calls that an international manager has to make. That sort of how a squad comes together, because you see it quite often when players are not playing that expect to, they cause issues. So I think you need to have the right kind of substitutes. Having said that, there was a slight unbalance because I think Konsa and Chalobah kind of do the same thing, but Tuchel has got Konsa, who he's tried at right back as well. So he'll feel like, look, we'll go defensive on the right hand side, and then you can bring Nick O'Reilly in at the on the left.
You missed an O.
I did miss the O,
okay.
but it's such a difficult thing to Nick O'Reilly.
Yeah.
We'll have him.
He's such a. Yeah, he can go forward. So the balance of the team, I think, will still be okay. And look, it's Panama. You should be able to beat them really with whoever's playing right back.
I mean, if it wasn't the paucity of right backs he'd picked, it would be something else. There are pages to fill. There are
podcasts
yes. to record, etc., and so on. I see that some English journalists are getting their panties in a bunch because Elliot Anderson is about to sign for Manchester City for some astronomical amount of money, and there's talk he will undergo a fitness test in New York, and they're saying, oh, he should be focused purely on the World Cup, and how dare he go and do a fitness. There's always something that people get annoyed about. The fact of the matter is England should beat Panama comfortably. I said the same about their match against Ghana, and I'm going to keep saying it about everyone they play, and hopefully sooner rather than later I will be completely wrong and they'll get battered.
Croatia-Ghana is also quite an interesting game because Croatia have a goal difference of -1 on 3 points, so they can't really afford to lose, so they have to get something from this game. And you imagine Carlos Queiroz, well, we don't have to imagine what he's going to do. We know what he's going to do in this game. Group K, Colombia, Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan. So Portugal need to win the group, Philippe. I was going to ask you a Ronaldo question, but not. But that'll be a good game, actually, because Colombia have been quite fun.
No. Yeah, they've been actually better than I expected, because I was a little bit worried after seeing them in the friendlies before the World Cup, and I thought, oh my goodness, they're not quite as hot as people, as caliente as people would like them to be. I still don't know what to think of Portugal. Mm-hmm. I think perhaps that this, because we have to talk about Ronaldo, because if we don't talk about Ronaldo, we haven't ticked the box, then that's, this is what you've got to do. And I think maybe the fact he scored 2 goals is the worst thing that could possibly happen to Portugal, because he's going to have to play him now.
He would have played anyway.
Well, do you think there was one point at which, he would have considered perhaps, it would be, but I think now it's done. I'm a little bit lost with the permutation. The permutations, guys.
Well, I have a man for you. I have a man for you.
Portugal?
What's your question? What do you want to ask? Just ask
Who is
Mark.
Portugal playing?
Whoever wins this group, there's a definite advantage to winning the group, because you'll likely play Croatia or Ghana in the last 32. But then if you look one round beyond that, the last 16 would be against Switzerland or a third place team. And if you come second in that Colombia or Portugal group, you play, like I say, Croatia or Ghana first. But then in the last 16, it would be Spain. So you really want to avoid Spain at all costs.
Got it. Okay, DR Congo can go through with a win over Uzbekistan. Then Group J, Algeria, Austria could be one of those handshake draws.
Well, there's talk that it could be even worse than a handshake draw, because it could be beneficial to both teams to actually lose.
If you come second in that group,
you end up playing Spain, which is not, and I know Philippe was questioning their ability, sort of, and the way they've played so far. But
no.
you definitely want to avoid Spain in the last 32. So, I mean, it's
Ralph Rangnick planning a defeat. This is great fun, isn't it?
It would. I think it'd be quite fun to see. It'd be better than some of the games.
Should I keep an eye on the betting markets and on prediction markets for this particular one, you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Questions will be asked if an Austrian smashes one into his own goal.
Arnautovic gets a hat-trick of own goals. That's what we want. Anyway, a couple of nice emails for you. From Paul says, Hi Football Weekly. I was married to someone for 20 years. They were literally obsessed with vegetables. Every single meal had to have at least 4 vegetables, regardless of whether that meal was actually supposed to contain vegetables at all. Carrots, spinach, broccoli, and even the dreaded aubergine. They all made daily appearances on whatever plate was in front of me. I was even mandated to include said vegetables when I was the one cooking. Failure to include at least 3 species of veg was met with a flaming that certainly focused my attention. I consumed said vegetables and even enjoyed some, but never felt that their presence was essential. Fast forward to today, where after, let's say, a change in relationship status, I am now living on my own. This has many advantages, not least the ability to actually eat what I want. I've not found the need to purchase any vegetables myself, and I don't feel their lack of presence to be a health hazard at all. Whether this could be the first stage of a more extensive Langdonification process, I don't know. I guess time will tell. Regards, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Is everything okay at home, Mark?
For now. Well, actually, Mrs. Langdon was absolutely furious. She came home from work and opened the food waste bin to find the bin full of maggots.
Oh no! Is that your job?
It would have been my job,
Oh.
and I've done a bit of fishing in my time, so I would be okay with maggots. But she said that, and was in the swimming pool at the time, so I didn't tell her.
It wasn't a FaceTime.
No, definitely wasn't a FaceTime.
Always FaceTime in the apartment. That's the deal.
No, I wouldn't encourage everyone to go down this route of no vegetables. Do what suits you. I'm certainly not here to encourage a life of dumb leading.
No, of course, or just a divorce to get away from vegetables. But since we last recorded.
Honey Nut Cheerios for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had the orange chicken that was left over as the bridge into my lunch, which was lobster bisque and some sourdough bread. Haven't had dinner yet, so
Right.
just
You did have a 2-ton bag of barbecue crisps.
Yeah.
Potato?
Well, they weren't. They're very nice. They're very, they're difficult to put down, those barbecue crisps.
yeah.
But not had dinner yet.
I think as soon as Max stops asking us questions, we're off to get tacos.
Yes. And that will be meat-based tacos as well. Yeah.
Sure. And the chicken that you ate, was that the chicken that was delivered to you by accident, and you thought a listener had sent you some chicken?
I wasn't sure. It's becoming quite chaotic, the food chat, and so I went out of my apartment about 10:30 this morning, and there was a delivery of Panda Express hanging on the door, and it was very confusing because I was adamant I hadn't ordered it.
And you're living with producer Joel.
and it was 10:30 in the morning, something like that. So I mean, not even I, the animal that I am, would be smashing away at Chinese at 10:30 in the morning. But I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just take it inside. It must be producer Joel's. Put it in the WhatsApp group. He said it wasn't his. It turns out that the delivery person had delivered it to the right number, but the wrong block.
Got it.
So unfortunately, when the security then came to pick up the Chinese, I'd left the building.
So we're still holding it hostage. The orange chicken.
We have stolen it, and there is now an orange chicken ready to be eaten at some stage tonight, probably after I've gone in after a few pints.
Good stuff. All right. Well, look, that'll do for today. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the comments we're getting on Instagram, including the absolute masterclass of the side foot pass that I've exhibited on Instagram. Thank you to Ellis James, amongst others, who have enjoyed that one. But that'll do for today. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Max.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
You may go to bed, Philippe. Au revoir.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit worried for your diet, though.
Mate,
You're
you've
not the
only
only
just
one,
started
Philippe.
with these two, frankly.
Orange
we do not have time.
chicken.
We don't have time.
Orange chicken.
It's
Okay.
a different
Goodbye.
podcast. Cheers, Philippe.
Good luck.
Football Weekly is produced by Rory Simon and Matt Bentley-Viney. Our executive producers are Joel Grove and Danielle Stevens. And we'll be back tomorrow.